Okay, great, thank you, Jesse. So why don't we begin the meeting? Sorry, folks who are later watching this recording, we got started a little late because of HP updates and other technical issues, but we'll go ahead and start the meeting of October 2, 2024 with a pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yeah.
This place stands out when there's only four of us.
What does?
No,
So there are no visitors, it's only the board and Jesse, the town clerk, so we will not have privilege of the floor tonight. And so we'll move on to the agenda. I will mention a few things and maybe some of you have ideas for things to add to the agenda. I wanted to ask you all about the idea of getting a carpet shampooer at Ida's suggestion. And
it's an outrageous idea.
outrageous, yeah. So, and then maybe we should have a discussion of after we go through the budget, then we maybe have a brief discussion of liaison and committee assignments that we might want to consider that aren't made. Get an update on the ag plan, update on the disaster plan, and discuss court safety. I thought those are the things I had scribbled down that I haven't scribbled down here, so I'll go back and look at that so we don't forget.
For next time.
Or yeah, I mean, for next time.
To discuss this tonight or next?
I thought, well, some of these things I thought we could just, like the committee liaison things, I thought we could talk about that. And I mean, we can just talk about, you know, yeah, next meeting or whatever. So those are possible next meeting agenda items also. So with that, I will review the tentative budget. And which I sent out today. And let's see, share screen. I hope this works. Once I share screen, can I still, oh yeah, okay. I still have the ability to do stuff. Okay. And we reduce that a little bit. Okay, oh doggone it. Okay. Why is it snapping back like that? It's got a mind of its own. Oh, there it is. It's because I'm duplicating. Okay. Can you see that, Michelle? Is that okay? Okay, I can't hear you. You can, unless you don't want to, you can keep your mic open.
Yeah, I was on mute. Sorry. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted, maybe one of the most important things I did, or impactful things I did, was reevaluate salaries for elected officials. And I sent you a PDF of the analysis I did. So I did for Tompkins County towns, I plotted the salaries against population served using 2024 census information for the different towns. Interestingly, the numbers from the last time I did this, like 2 or 3 years ago, the population numbers for all the towns went down, which I thought was kind of interesting. So I just plot, that's just a regression, a straight line regression. And then, so I looked at that line and put the number in for that position for Caroline. So, you know, that I would get a regression line, for instance, for my position, the supervisor. And then I would put in the population, 3150 or whatever it was. And then it would tell me for a population of that size, here's what this line says your salary would be. So if the salary came out lower than what it currently is, I didn't do anything and applied a 3% cost of living adjustment. If it came out higher, I made that adjustment and then applied for 2020. And so that's the 2024 relationship. And then I applied 3% to that for the salary that I put in for each position. So does that make sense, what I did?
It does, except I'm wondering, so the amount of responsibility and work is based on the number of the population, or is it just what the population can bear? I'm just wondering, like, I mean, I don't think that we have, it just, it necessarily correlates that when there are fewer people, there is actually less work to do. I'm just wondering about the.
Well, I can, so the reason I like this is, well, I'm gonna pull up the spread, I'm gonna pull up the figure because
What was the email?
that'll make it more understandable. So I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay, there it is.
So Mark, when you use this formula, does it correspond to the salary of other towns?
Here, hang on a second.
You're talking about the population of it, yeah. I'm just not sure.
Oh, okay, good. Okay.
Okay.
Now I can share my screen. Hang on.
Yeah, I can't see them. What was the name of the email you sent, or when did you send it?
Okay. So what was your question, Tim?
I'm just trying to get a sense. I need to be reminded how this works
Okay,
in relation to the other towns.
so I have the first one I have up here is for the town justices, actually. So you can see I put in this column the population. And then here's the number of justices, so I could calculate the population served per justice. And then here are the 2024 salaries. And then I did a regression. So that's the relationship here. And so let's see, make sure I get this right. Yeah. So yeah, this bottom axis is population, and then the y-axis is salary. So the line describes the relationship, and you can see it's a pretty linear line. The R squared is 0.8, which is a pretty high relationship.
So you're essentially saying, as the population is larger, people get paid more. in
There's more work to
relationship.
do. Yeah, they
Well, but what this is, it
Yeah.
doesn't say there's more work.
Yeah.
But it says in relationship to population, it's a upward trend.
yeah.
Okay. But what
exactly.
you're saying is you don't think it necessarily direct
I think
relationship with
I
work.
think at some point it's not really linear, because there has to be a certain amount of work done.
So
In fact, I
Let
might
me
say, go
continue.
ahead. Yes,
So-
please do.
that's why, if you extrapolate, it's not, it's not perfect, but you can see this is a straight line and the intercept here
Mhm.
is,
It looks like it's. pretty-
shows, what you would earn for doing no work. So that's,
No,
that's,
that would be, you were with no people, but yeah, okay.
yeah,
No.
it does say that. So
Well,
it's,
yeah, go ahead, yeah.
well, I mean,
If
if
you were
you're
a
at
judge, you still
zero,
have to go to the training and everything. I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense. It's not logical because you couldn't get elected if there were 0 people. But you would still be required, if you were elected a judge with no people, you would still be required to go through the training.
So let's-
and that's zero work.
Let's just back up for a minute.
Okay.
So in the case of this particular set of offices,
Mhm.
the judges,
Yes.
7 years ago, the town board wanted to analyze their relative salaries to the county. And one way of doing so was to request data from the workflow of the court.
Mhm.
That request got turned into a prolonged pushback
Objection, yeah.
objection with the implication that the data that we were evaluating, the results of court decisions, performance,
Mhm.
as opposed to how busy the court was, the court data. So the alternative way that we then reasonably came up with evaluating comparative costs across the county was population as a constant.
Okay.
So,
Well, in terms of the court though, it's a little complicated because isn't there some
So-
conversation about not having 2?
so that's a totally separate
Another
thing.
conversation.
So I'm sorry I started off with the justice relationship, so let's go down. Here's the highway superintendent. So the reason that I like using population is it's a rational metric. It's certainly not gonna be perfect. You could use other things for a particular position. So like for the highway superintendent, you use road miles or something like that, or you could, if you could monitor, I don't know, hours worked for a position. But this enabled me to evaluate each,
Apples to apples.
each position on the same thing, And the relationships are always here for the highway superintendent, it's
What's
the
the
regression
ROI?
is 0.81.
Uh-huh.
That's pretty good.
Mhm.
For my position, when I did it this way, it was 0.28, and that concerned me, so I asked, why is that? The reason is there are 2 outliers, Ulysses and Groton. Groton's really low and Ulysses is very high. So I threw out those 2 outliers, and I think I streamed by it or what? Thought I had it in here. Stop doing that. There it is.
Can I ask you
So
a
this-
question?
Sure, Michelle.
I'm sorry, I am not a math person, I'm sorry. I don't know what does R2 mean?
It's R squared and
What is it?
it's just the strength of, so if all the dots were on a linear line described by that equation.
Yeah.
The R squared would be 1.0.
Okay, you mean if they were like not tilted?
No, they would be
No.
tilted, but if
Oh,
all
I
these
see.
dots fell right on this line.
I got it, yep, okay, it would be
So
one.
when it's closer to 1,
So,
it's pretty
yeah,
relevant.
It means the dots are really tight to that line.
So if the data were exact, they would all be on one line.
Yeah.
That would make it nice straight.
So these are all, visually, you can see there's a relationship and, it's a decent, positive relationship, and it makes sense. That, you know, as a town gets larger, there's
A big
There's
tax base.
a lot more to do. I mean, you could argue the opposite for my position, because there's less support staff. So in a bigger town, you have, but anyway,
That's what I was thinking
I
about
think-
the support staff.
but you know,
No, we don't.
I can't. Yeah, I think this is a really decent way to evaluate. You know, it's basically evaluating my salary relative to similar towns.
Yeah, I mean, it's a constant way of comparing.
Yeah, yeah,
And I would say unless there's some other system that we've installed. You have to go with what you got. We don't have another assessment system like you were talking about.
yeah, I
We
mean,
have used this 2 years now, 2 to 3 budget cycles in a row. So there's a
Mhm.
yeah.
A history.
continuity in the history.
And you know, so if you just use a countywide average, that really doesn't work.
Mhm.
That's pretty flawed. And what I like about this, I mean, like I said, if that was brought up originally, that you know, we need to be, you know, positions need to be compensated for things that are beyond population served, like training requirements and things like that. And I think that's what the Y-intercept approximates. It helps account for that. So if you extend that line back to the Y-intercept, so in this case for town supervisor, I would get $19,000 for doing nothing, for never,
You would still have to do.
for serving no people.
Right.
So, but that, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know,
Did you email these to me? I can't read up there and I can't read that. and
I did,
Okay.
Yes, it's
What's
in
it
the
called? I
email.
didn't see it.
with that.
Sorry?
It was with the first one with the budget.
Oh, okay.
And can I ask about, you know, I'm sure it doesn't make any difference, but I'm curious why there are outliers and what. Do we know what those outliers, why they're those numbers? Is it because they're using different?
It's just
Matrix or
those
because-
boards made, you know, I think it's a individual decision of different town boards and different towns and they, you know. No, I mean, this is my technique. I came up with this. I mean, it's not like every town does this.
No, but it's curious. I mean, that those are two very different. Numbers off the line. They seem pretty extreme. And I'd just be curious, I wonder what's going on there. Is it just their budgets are lower? Is it because those particular one board is actually doing more hours or
Well,
the other
I
board
mean,
doing less hours?
I mean, I think
That
that's a
makes
really complicated question,
Yeah.
and you're talking about different towns that have different fiscal priorities.
Which were the two extremes?
Ulysses
Groton
and
and Ulysses. So Ulysses has a fairly high tax base. I think that's part of it.
It includes the town of Trumansburg, or the village. I mean,
It does, yeah, so it has that complexity.
and Groton's smaller than us?
No, Groton has,
Mhm.
I
oh,
don't
yeah.
see, I don't see Groton and Ulysses on this chart. What
Yeah,
chart are you-
I
Which one?
removed Groton because it was an outlier, so
Oh,
Groton
I
has,
Oh, it really is.
4,718 people.
That's bigger
It's
Yeah.
in
bigger.
population, yeah,
And then
and
the,
pay less.
yeah.
They way less.
It's their
Yeah.
decision.
that's their vision,
Right, right.
yeah, exactly, so,
$7,000. It's pretty remarkable. And
It's
then,
probably not
and
a living
Ulysses
wage.
was high. Yeah.
I mean, remember that we are dedicated to a living wage. That's probably not even a living wage.
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, for the town supervisor though, you know, for any elected position. It's impossible to calculate a living wage because, you know,
Yeah.
the hours are variable and, yeah. So that's,
Oh, I see, that's where you took it out. Okay. Mhm.
yeah. So should I go back to the budget? I just wanted to explain how I approached the salary adjustment, which I've done previously, and doing
I
that.
mean, it's important to note, you said that we're pretty good on the budget and that you did this data and you increase people's wages and we're still.
Mhm.
Our budget looks good, so that's good.
Yeah,
But tell me again how you, the cost of living was what? The cost of living adjustment was what percent?
I'm gonna do, I haven't gone there yet.
Oh,
but-
okay, sorry.
So,
So we're going back to the budget.
I'm gonna go back to the budget. And then I will walk you through the budget. So here it is, okay. So based on my most recent hearsay about where inflation is, I put the cost of living for non-union employees at 3%. That's at 1.03 COLA, non-union employees there.
That's the first page.
On the first page, yeah.
Okay.
And so, but if I did this analysis and it showed that relative to other Tompkins County towns based on population, the current salary is low, I adjusted it upward to where it would be on the line. And then for 2025, I multiplied by, I added 3%. So, so if we just waltz down, this resulted in town board members, we'll get a 5.1% increase. So it was a little low. The town justices, were not low. And so I just increased their wage rate by 3%. The supervisor was low. So,
We've been telling the supervisor for
Yeah.
years.
I did adjust, I did look at mine relative, I don't know why it was off that much, but anyway. That is a significant boost.
What was the percentage then, which yours was?
What did you say?
Oh, what was the percentage?
17.8,
Okay,
it's in the spreadsheet, so it's on the screen here, I don't know, can you read that? Maybe I'll
it's
make it
okay.
a little bigger. Okay,
Yeah. All right.
For non-elected personnel positions, I just did 3% increases. For the town clerk's position, I did a couple of things that I think affected this. One is if a town had a budget line for the town clerk, but then another budget line for the tax collector, I added those two together. Because our town clerk does
Does both.
both of those things. And so I think that's why it's a significant increase, so it's an 18% increase.
And does that take into consideration review board clerk or not?
I just did it based on the relationship, so it's,
Not how many things they do, except for the,
I just considered that a
Okay.
part of the town clerk job.
Okay.
So I did it strictly based on that relationship. Let's see, so that's that. I want to back up a little bit, back up to the supervisor lines, and you'll see that's where I did add a personnel line. For $40,000 in administrative personnel expenses to Dryden Fiber. Because they will be doing work for the town of Caroline on Dryden Fiber. I discussed this with Jason and that was the number that he recommended, so. I didn't just make it up. Maybe he did, but I didn't. So I don't think he did. He worked with Amanda
and just to,
and Dave.
I'm pretty sure I'm right on this, but this is kind of startup administrative costs, right? So it's gonna be, there are more administrative costs at the beginning of setting up this project than there
Correct.
will be when it's running. So signing people up, getting everything working. Okay,
Yep, that's right. I added 15,000 to, usually we budget 20,000 for Guy's services. I increased that to be sure we had enough for broadband and bonding work that he may have to do.
And everybody should just realize that that's only paid out by billing, so.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we're gonna spend it all.
Right,
I kept Creek Engineering at 10,000. The USGS stream gauge went away, so that goes to 0, and we'll remove that account line. I'm not gonna mention every single line, I'm just, if you see one that I don't mention that is problematic or you're wondering about, just let me know. We budget every year these two lines for town hall capital reserve and town barn capital reserve at 30,000, 65,000. So yeah, I kept those where they were.
Where are you now, Mark? I lost track of where you are.
Pardon me?
Where are you? I've lost track.
Oh, I'm at A16 20.43 and A16 20.44.
Ooh. A1620. What's the title of the column?
It's town hall capital reserve, or the barn capital
right
reserve.
here.
They're line 69 and 70 in my spreadsheet.
I found it.
Found it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Unallocated insurance, our Bailey Place liability insurance for the town. They recommended a 6 to 8% increase, so I made it 7% over last year's premium amount. I reduced municipal dues based on expenses to date and expenses in 2023. So I think that's very safe. Given that 23, we spent 1405, so. Contingency, that's just continuing the tradition that I inherited, 25,000 we budget for contingency expenses. Street light contractual, I kept the same. Three percent increase for the highway superintendent salary based on the same, that analysis I showed you a little while ago. Nothing's really changing here. We fund the food pantry and a small donation to TCAD, the Ithaca Area Economic Development.
Do we need to, I'm just wondering, should we increase the amount we give to the food pantry? When was the last time that was increased? Thinking of inflation and how much food costs and whether we're still helping the same amount that we were, say, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's a reasonable point. Honestly, my concern is that
This is the one at the church in Brooktondale? Somewhere
no,
else.
it's at the fire hall.
Oh, there's one
Martin
there.
Ministries does it.
Which one is it? It's not the one down at the community center in Brookfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
The old
Yeah,
fire.
the old fire. Okay, yeah.
So
I don't know if they are needing money or if they seem to be,
Right.
okay.
So, at any rate, I mean, I think this is a healthy contribution.
Did they make an additional request?
I'm trying to articulate my discomfort, and my discomfort is that for something like this, we as a board are not supposed to just make donations, they're supposed to be contractual. We don't really have that. This is, we support food, that's something towns do frequently, so Yeah, so,
So they've never come and said, this is what we need, or
No.
this is our budget, and
no, all the discussions have been board discussions in the past. And we've increased it significantly in the past.
okay, I didn't know if we'd ever increased it or it's just been.
When I started, I think it was $500.
Oh. So that was years and years ago.
Well, can I ask, this is a good question, what do other towns do in relationship to decision making around this kind of line item? Is there, like some organizations, there's a form that people fill out every year, every third year, you know, it's like some period of time. And then they could either ask, it's up to them, they could either ask or not, or we release the ask or not, you know, I don't know what our
The
policies
recipient?
are. Yeah, like we decide how it's framed, but at least there's some structure rather than us just having a conversation, it's like. You know, it doesn't have to be this year, but I'm just thinking for the future, it might be nice, because there could be other organizations.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this is a Pandora's box.
Mhm.
And it's not what we're supposed to be doing, you know, because there's a lot of discretion in that. So I mean, I'm expressing some personal.
Well, how did it
biases
what's the
too.
history, how did it originally, even if it was $500, how did that get started?
Yeah, I don't know.
This is maybe another conversation for another time, but it seems to me to make it fair for everybody. Taxpayers, the town board's responsibilities and transparency and. Whether they can get the money or someone else can get the money, those kinds of questions. Might be interesting to talk about.
Mhm.
I'm not saying I'm against food pantries, I'm just saying
Right,
it's a fairness and equity issue.
From my point of view, we have no structure to support social services in this town. We know the income disparity in the town is huge. And this has been one way of our
Doing that.
making a gesture
Mhm.
towards that sustainability, which
Yeah.
is very minor.
But I could flip it,
I wouldn't see the equivalent with other organizations.
I could flip it, if a new round of people come in here and there's not something in the books that's transparent and a structure that is. Been brought in politically. Erase it to
Yeah.
zero,
right, they could.
is what I'm saying.
It's every year, it's a board decision.
Yeah.
You're
And
absolutely
that's-
right.
I'm saying you could lock in a more equitable structured. System so that it's harder for it to get removed in the future, is all I'm saying.
Just by justifying it, but a board would have the
Yeah.
authority to do that.
Right,
Sure.
Yeah,
but right now it's really easy to do that. I mean, we all four of us could be like, no.
Well, if we did that and they came in and they had a relatively good year,
mhm.
a board could exit out,
Yeah,
which might be justifiable, but
I mean, one idea that I think maybe you've heard, or I would be really enthusiastic about if we invested that money in a community garden that grew produce for the food pantry. So we knew that they were getting, high quality local food, but.
Rather than canned stuff.
Yeah,
Or something.
they do get a lot of fresh produce down there.
Do they?
Yeah, I haven't been down there in a few years, but I used to volunteer and pack the boxes and stuff. And also people
Yeah,
bring
that's
extras
cool.
from their garden, like, I bet you there are a lot of zucchinis right now, tomatoes and, tons of stuff that people bring
yeah,
and donate, so, and there is a garden. Or there used to be a garden, at the community center,
There's a beautiful one there right now.
right?
It's the best I've
Okay.
ever seen it,
Yeah, so
but I
somebody
don't
is
know where
working with
that is
isn't
going.
that Emily?
Yeah, Emily's doing it.
Emily's doing it, yeah, it's an herb garden that people can use fresh herbs and,
Oh, there's some food in there.
there's some food and some real food in there, yeah. I know that my parish has a garden, that produces a ton of food for the food pantry, and I don't know if it just goes to the one downtown or gets distributed throughout the probably depends how much is coming out. There's a lot of food that comes out of that thing, so. Anyway, great.
Anyway.
So there are other
There's other
sources,
things to think about, but that's
so.
not right now
Yeah.
necessarily.
Well, I mean, this is just the start.
Mhm.
This is the first budget, and then we get to chew on it, and then we go from there.
I mean, I would advocate that if we wanted to go down that road, it would be something between now and the next budget in. In a year,
Think
not
about-
in this
yeah.
budget, this
Uh-huh.
is too much.
I mean, I've always been a strong advocate for a robust contribution to the food pantry, just because
Mhm.
we do not have town services for that population,
Mhm.
and the county services tend to be centralized downtown. And
Yeah,
it's
I,
just a very easy way for us
Yeah.
to make a gesture in that regard.
Well, but you make it is Pandora's box, so I think we could do more, is my point. And if you did do more, you would need better systems in
Yes,
place to do.
absolutely.
That's all I'm
absolutely.
saying.
Yeah.
Totally agree.
I do think the local food pantries are cool, really a great thing.
I mean, I-
Enfield has
And
some-
they're
I don't
very
think it
good.
would be untoward after this budget to approach them for discussion about what impact this donation makes vis-a-vis their budget.
Totally.
We have asked that question before, and then, and they told us, this enables us to buy more fresh foods and things for the,
Well, it would just be good to be able to see
to
some.
quantify it.
See the budget,
spreadsheets.
and yeah,
Yeah,
that's,
I think that's fair. I think that'd be great.
Because we might look at it and be so shocked that we'd want to double
or, yeah,
it.
or,
Or we could see
Yeah.
that they're so successful
and then they're
that
getting
maybe
funds
we
from
could
other
use
places.
these resources for other purposes.
Yeah,
Okay. Just what we want is another.
I heard a noise. Was that you, Michelle?
Yeah, sorry, I just coughed.
It's okay. I thought maybe you wanted to chime in here.
No,
Okay. So to be continued,
Okay,
I did get an update on, this is something we can follow up in whenever we do the committee discussions, youth services, I got updates on those numbers, and then actually it's, there was a 12.5% increase in the JYC
yeah,
budget. What did I do with that one? Yeah, at any rate, so I asked Teresa Albert, how they figured, so there's a formula used. Weighing the Ithaca City School District property assessed values and the average of the town's last 3 years youth participation totals.
Hmm.
So the towns. Let's see, I got lost. Our participation in the last 3 years has been 114 youth in 2021, 161 in 2022, and 248 in 2023. So I think that's probably, that's great to know.
yeah, that's right, a bounce up from COVID, that's,
Yeah, maybe.
so that's why it's so low to begin with.
And this budget allows for a maintenance of operation, a maintenance of effort in operations of an increase of 2%. So I felt like that was pretty reasonable and good to know. So that's that number. Historian, I pretty much, the only thing she didn't ask for anything in the contractual line. And I just thought there should be something in the contractual line for the historian, for the history room, so I put 2,000 in there, that's what the library gets each year. If anybody has input on that, I'm all ears.
I don't see that line, Mark.
Oh, that's in the, A 7510 point whatever lines,
Yeah.
starting at line 134.
I just don't see the $2,000.
You don't see what?
$2,000.
No, 60,000.
Oh, 2,000 is
One-
A 7510.4.
Oh, I see down there.
Oh,
Okay.
it's the next
On
page.
137, right?
It went on to a different page. Oh,
It
No,
doesn't
maybe
matter.
wrong.
No, I see it now.
okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Wait, what's the difference between contractual and historical room contractual?
I actually don't know.
Okay,
I find, I mean, I think usually, I think historical room contractual is for the display area maybe,
okay,
and, I actually think it's, and so the 0.410 is like a subcategory of the 0.4, but I think it would be okay to just budget them together, so I figure by putting 2,000 in the 0.4 line, it can be used for either line without any ado, really.
okay.
Um, Moving down to line 146, for planning, 8020.4. I budgeted down to $10,000. And so I'm open to, that's the line we budgeted for contractual services from NAM for the last 3 years. Most, that work is done now that we've got the zoning in place and the subdivision law.
What do we do for, I don't see it for code officer?
That's 36 something. Safety inspection, line 93. I just used a multiplier and give it a 3% increase.
Did you figure in the shift to full-time? That's what I'm asking. That's what
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted to
based on 40 hours a week. Let me check that.
know. Looks
Sure.
low. Oh, no, I see what you did. Okay. I mean, my only question is whether we would want to
I'm pretty sure
set
that's
aside, say, an additional 10 under planning in case we needed to reallocate it for code.
in case what?
okay.
In case we needed to reallocate it for code, so in case we needed to have the code officer work 40 instead of 30 hours.
Oh,
You hear what I'm
We
saying?
had talked about using, having a planning component in the codes officer
Right,
job description.
yeah, but we don't have that right now.
no, but I'm thinking of safety inspections, just in other words, do we have enough money budgeted for that to go up to 40 hours a week if necessary?
I'm trying to check what I did. I'm messing up the cells
You
terribly.
could do reverse,
What's that?
you just reverse,
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
undo it.
yeah, undo it.
I'm not gonna save this anyway. I don't think I
Oh, okay.
messed up anything too important, but let me just try it here.
Has it always been 30?
About 30.
Well, between 20 and 30.
What do other towns do?
About that, 38 to 32.
It doesn't, has it been discussed or considered that if you go to 40, it might get someone that might stay around longer?
Well, that's why
Yeah.
That's what
we have raised it to full-time. Before it was part-time
Oh,
at 20 to 30, now it's full-time. But we're anticipating full-time, that 30 hours will be used. So my question is, do we want to cover ourselves in case the person does the thorough job we want them to do with inspections especially? And
well,
30
we
isn't enough.
I mean, your point is good. I'm not gonna do it on
You
here
hear
because
what
I'm
you hear what
having
I'm
trouble.
You hear what I'm asking?
Yep. So I think we should just go with this and check it.
Yeah.
And we can adjust it. I think it should be in this line if we
Okay.
change it and just do it.
No, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, it is a good point. And I think the calculation may be based on 30 hours. I can't remember what I did. If I based it on what I did last year, it probably is. And but we advertise this at 35 to 40 hours
Yeah.
position. But
So we
you know,
need to budget accordingly at least.
we need to be able to cover it, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
can I go back? Did we already look at the broadband line?
I looked at one broadband line for.
There's multiple ones.
Yeah, but what about it?
I'm just curious, we had mentioned last meeting about that fee.
I haven't gotten that there
Okay.
yet, but I budgeted for that.
Great.
Yep. And it's coming right up.
Mhm.
I can't read it unfortunately, so.
I know, it's terrible.
It's
I'm
not
sorry.
your fault, I should have brought my reading glasses.
No,
I didn't bring it.
It's I knew it when I printed it, and I was just got like,
That's why I brought this.
I spent like, and
Why, I was using my camera as a magnifying glass.
Yeah, you can do that.
But
Saw that.
it's sort of working.
It does.
actually,
Turn on the flashlight.
what, can you see that? Why don't you share the computer
Sorry,
screen?
that's not a bad idea.
So it's great on the computer screen.
I can't, and I
Yeah.
unfortunately can't read up that far.
So, so we just,
Okay,
I will check on this safety inspection personnel service. That's the code office
Right.
budget line. We'll check on that.
Okay.
So, went through this before. This is all pretty straightforward. There's the youth positions.
Did you take out, Mark, the software? Or is that in here?
It's in there. It's modestly in there. You'll see here for the code office, I put 7,000 in the contractual line.
Okay,
So, I think we'll know more by the time we set the budget.
yep,
So let's just leave it there for
Okay.
now
okay.
and see what we can do.
Is that regarding that email I got about all that stuff,
About
that
permit.
long list of things that
Yeah,
need to be done?
Insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
that we might not want to do.
That's- I mean, that's probably a discussion we should have tonight,
Yeah,
later in the meeting.
good.
youth summer employment,
Let's see. What did you mention, Kate?
oh, we're just looking at the youth summer employment. Yeah.
That's that's a funny line. We just, anyway, it's a pass through.
Oh, okay,
So we
got it.
don't spend, it's
I remember
a
now.
pass through.
Yeah, I remember.
So
I think I
it's
brought
not
that
money
up
we
last year,
have to
so-
have, so.
Mhm.
Oh, here's one thing I wanted to mention, so this, A 8710.4, that's for CSI and the, municipal watershed organization. So that's adequate for that. For maintenance of stream projects, 8710.41. So that's, I'm thinking that's Banks Road. What I did there was I budgeted the base bid amount that we got. So that's probably another discussion we should have.
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
But I think that's a good starting place, there.
Were we gonna have a visit that spot?
right, we talked about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is a good time of year to do that as the vegetation dies down. We can see things better, so.
What's that?
That is insane. What is that?
Where did you?
I'm looking at the total conservation is 760%.
60%. How can 760 come from,
Oh,
let's see, 20?
almost like it's multiplying or something instead of subtracting.
The totals before were 8,000, right?
Yeah, the first line only went up 1,000, the second one went down. So how come it's such a big,
That maintenance of stream.
oh, there's a problem here. See, this total's wrong.
Which total?
Under adopted budget, I believe that's the one it's basing it off of. So there's a cell not included, there it is, see if I can grab that. That'll change things considerably. Yeah,
Alright, that's
yeah,
better.
that helped, didn't it?
What is it now?
See, under adopted
Yeah.
budget for that line, 45 and was left
Right.
out, 45,000 was left
Oh,
out.
okay.
So it was only 5,000, so that's why, thanks for pointing that out, yeah, that's.
And then you've got, oh, well, I'll wait till you get down a little further.
Looks right. Yeah. Are you commenting on the 89.4? Just the latest.
I was looking at the increase in, the retirement and the health insurance.
Oh, okay, I'm not there yet.
Yeah,
So community services is important because I have a line for the rec trail. I put 20,000 in that, and then for broadband, this is the one Jonathan was asking about, so I put
This-
50,000 in for the fee, that's about what it comes out to. And 15,000, we're gonna need, we're probably gonna need a professional audit because of the grant,
all right.
so.
For audit for that particular project or the whole
The
deal?
town,
The whole
a town,
Oh, wow.
a town fiscal audit.
The state is requiring that, probably?
Mhm.
Or it
Yeah,
Looks good.
for the grant, so, so we had one a couple years ago by.
Longer, they're back than that.
What's that?
It was long time, it was longer than that.
Yeah, it
Longer
has to
than
be
that.
within a certain amount of time.
Oh, I bet it was 5 years back.
Yeah, I think it had to be within
5 years is good, 5 years is good.
Time flies when you're having fun. So anyway, we'll probably contact Insero again. They did it. It's no big deal. We just get our books out and they do all the stuff and. But it's gonna be a necessity, so we budgeted for that.
We can, thank Jesse for the good books.
Velvet,
Velvet,
Velvet.
thank Velvet for the good books.
Yeah,
thank,
just the.
you can thank
info,
Jesse.
yeah. So, under employee benefits. Did you have a question? The big,
Oh, we're just looking at a, 54.5%
Yeah,
increase in
that's-
the premium coverage, and then we've got the 45%. For the retirement
that's just how,
estimated.
that's just a calculation that Velvet does with the retirement system numbers.
Mhm.
That's how it came out. So retirement is up a lot this year. And I think that's because a lot of the money in the retirement system is invested, and so when that doesn't do as well, then these numbers go up.
But it's been doing pretty well. I would
It
think.
has been,
Not,
well, over 1 year or
yeah, I think.
10 years or?
I think it's over like the last year.
It's
Last year's
good.
Pretty good.
Well,
Depends on what they've
How it's
invested.
invested, that's true.
Little.
I would, yeah, I'm just
well,
surprised, over 10 years is.
I will go to the comptroller's website and see
Okay.
what he says about it.
I'm curious.
He's
I
very,
can ask Velvet.
rigorous.
I like talking about it.
So the 54% on the health insurance, there's a 14% premium increase. And then I think my number from last year might have been off or something or low. We'll find out later in the year. But anyway, I stuck the numbers in a spreadsheet, made sure all the employees were in there as they're supposed to be. I budgeted for a code officer if they took family health insurance. So I did the max.
Mm.
And so, yeah, it's a lot of money. Wait till you see the DA fund for that one.
And it would be worse if we didn't have the,
Health consortium,
household.
Yeah.
Mhm.
that would be about 5% worse this year, 19% instead of 14%. So that's the A fund expenditures. The revenues are pretty straightforward. Basically, this whole exercise is solving for this cell right here, for property taxes, what we need to raise. So 2,200 we get in payment in lieu and taxes from Fountain Manor. This is just a stock number we use for interest and penalties on property taxes. Franchise fee. You can see we got 20,212 this year, we budgeted about that.
It's a franchise fee.
Get it from the, like the, Frontier and
Oh, they pay us?
they pay, yeah.
I think like a corporate tax essentially.
Yeah.
It's funny they call it a franchise fee.
Corporate franchise, yeah. Oh, we do cooperative purchasing of workers' comp with 2 of the fire departments, that's what that number is. So there's gonna be an expenditure line that's about, is a third again higher.
Where are you now? Mark?
Where am I?
Yeah.
A 2189. Fire company workers'
Okay,
comp.
found it. You're moving fast.
What's that?
You're moving fast.
Am I too fast?
No, just,
And then the watershed, that's gonna be retired, that's the revenue line for the stream gauge from our partners.
Mhm.
So that's gonna be zeroed out.
Surprisingly high. It was.
It
I
was,
think it was gonna be that much.
yeah, they paid for, I mean, they paid for the lion's share of it, so, yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's good. The, this is interesting, so we just put our savings in Y class. We didn't do it that long ago, maybe 3 months ago?
two,
Two?
three.
What is this?
So here, this A 2401 is that interest. You can see in 2023, we generated $1,352. This year, right now, we 33,447.
And then
Unbelievable.
what's that interest from?
Same, just in the bank.
And what is that money from? The bank money? Like what,
Taxes.
how did that build over time
From taxes.
from taxes?
So it's big at the beginning of the year, and then it goes down over the year. But during the time the bank has that, it's,
We get some money.
Before we had it in a local bank. And mid-year, we switched it to a statewide investment.
it's a municipal savings
Municipal savings.
thing.
Yeah, we have a big chunk of our personal money in a 5% bank account.
Yeah,
And it's
Yeah.
shocking how
Yeah.
quickly it
Yeah.
goes up.
yeah,
Yeah,
and that,
I
wow,
mean, that can change any minute, but there's
that's
no-
what this is, it's
yeah,
about
yeah.
5%,
Yeah.
so,
That's fantastic.
yeah,
It was really a good move.
Yeah,
yeah. Yep, so,
what's that $1,000 increase? Is that the,
what's what?
that's the bank money, this number here? 1,000%.
Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me,
Yes.
given,
Because you
Mhm.
started at 2,
Right.
and now you're.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean-
okay.
I thought it'd be like 1,000,000%, but yeah,
Okay.
that doesn't surprise me, yeah. So. These are all fairly inconsequential. We get a 7% increase in state aid next year. Thanks to Anna Kellis and Leah Webb.
Are we anticipating building permits to go down?
Did I do that? Let's see, building permits, how did I put 8,000? I did that based on.
Something doesn't look right, because this is
27%
27%.
negative.
Something's
Yeah.
not right.
So we budgeted 11,000 this year.
Okay, that's it.
Mhm.
I'd rather be conservative
Yep,
there.
I agree.
Okay.
This is for next year.
Yes.
Let's see, yes, there's the state aid, the mortgage.
What is that
tax.
state aid is general, here's some cash
Yeah,
for each town?
Yep, it's revenue sharing, it's income tax revenue sharing. It used to be much larger and so it's been set at this number for years. It hasn't budged an inch. Which makes no sense. And so this year, the state in the budget did increase it for 2025
Yeah.
by 7%, at least for our local municipality.
Is that locked in or is that only a one-time thing, 7%?
Good question. I can't remember what I don't
I
know.
mean, it is locked in because that's the amount that it'll be budgeted over against next year.
But what he means is, what about the next year? Is it gonna be 7% again?
Why not?
I don't know how that's gonna, I think it was just a 2025 budget.
This is a big deal.
Yeah.
Just 7% is a big deal.
Yeah, huge deal for them to do anything.
I mean, should it be pegged to inflation or something?
Doesn't work that way.
It should actually
Maybe
be,
so.
Don knows all about this, but I think originally in state legislation, they were I think it was 8.9% was supposed to be shared of income tax revenue, with local municipalities, and then they just didn't do it, so. So, yeah,
And what do they spend that money on? I wonder, I mean, I guess I can go look.
You
other
could
things.
look at their.
I don't think you'll be able to figure it out.
Yeah,
It's I mean, they're just,
yeah.
it's just
The
gone, and they
funds, yeah.
needed it for, I don't know, I mean. It's
Trips
not,
to Turkey,
what's that?
trips to Turkey.
Yeah, right.
For a turkey?
The mayor.
The mayor.
I'm making a joke.
Okay.
The mayor took trips to Turkey.
In
Oh,
New
that
York.
one,
of
Yeah,
New York
it's
City.
not the state
Yeah.
budget.
I know.
no, it's, I mean, I think it'd be interesting to look carefully at it, because. You know, the state, I feel like we get a healthy contribution from the state for chips. Now, it's, you know, like
What's chips?
the state, the highway improvement fund,
No,
it's at least $300,000 a year. It gets a lot done,
And that's state, not federal?
that's state. And then, you know, so.
but I'm just curious, so you've got the NYSERDA grant down here, the CEC grant? What about, I just.
Well, I have it there, but,
Yeah,
so first of
What
all,
budget line are we talking about?
240, A3089. So first of all, that's gonna be relabeled. I talked to Velvet about it because I didn't know what that 1502, I said, what's that NYSERDA? It was a payment from the state.
Mhm.
So I said, well, I think we should put it in the per capita line, A301. And she thought the comptroller would have a problem with that, so she's gonna relabel that line. It's not NYSERDA CEC grant, it's not gonna.
Okay,
We're gonna
that-
call it something else.
Oh, yeah, I was just a little confused because. I don't know, I mean, is that where we would put grants? We've got other grants, right? We just got that. Others, we just got that other NYSERDA.
$10,000.
10,000, yeah,
Yeah, but. Yeah.
but where would
so-
that go? Or I didn't think that would be in the budget, but maybe.
Yeah, we don't need to put that in the budget.
For next year?
Right,
That's just a payment to the
Oh.
town and.
Right.
We have to figure out when to spend
Because
it.
it's gonna be spent, it's not something we can
Right.
spend on something else, sorry.
right, it's gonna
Right.
be spent. on the
Allocated,
building.
yeah.
And then,
Um,
and the same with the broadband casheroo. or-
Your point is well taken, let's see, so. We actually should create budget lines for that, so we should have a budget line for revenue. For when it just came in. And then we should have an expenditure line, so maybe we should,
The grant also,
For the
big
bro-
grant. The-
For which,
which
You were
was,
saying that the broadband isn't in there, but it should be.
no, I'm talking about the $10,000
we're just talking about $10,000.
CEC grant we just got, it's a little one.
But why doesn't the broadband need to be in there?
The reason the broadband's not in there is because. The broadband is,
Not our money to use.
it's, that grant was to the Dryden Fiber, it's all going, so.
They have their own budget,
Is it town?
Yeah,
I get it.
It's all with them, so,
Yeah,
but the 10,000 does need, because it's coming to the town of Carroll.
yeah,
Yeah,
well,
exactly, yeah.
well, I feel this, but we're gonna be. The owners of the optic fiber.
Yeah,
So then
I'm
it-
just saying.
so-
How do you account for the?
I don't know if that would be,
So-
that wouldn't be in the budget, that would be,
no, so. We are gonna borrow money,
right,
we're not we're not using taxpayer money, we're borrowing money. In order to float the funds for the broadband project. They're gonna be reimbursed by the state. So, as I understand it, you guys were both on the call, right? So
You're gonna be creating another entity.
we will, no, that's down the line.
Oh, okay.
But we will make this revenue anticipation note. And then we'll get our money. And we'll hand it over to the town of Dryden. So that we don't have to negotiate money back and forth all the time. They just, when it's spent, then, you know, at the end, then we just pay back the bond amount, so.
And who owns that infrastructure? Us or the,
Caroline will own anything in Caroline, Dryden will own anything in
and
Dryden.
how does that get accounted for?
With diligent tracking by Amanda Anderson and Dave Makar.
Yeah.
No, I guess what my point is how, if that is like, I bought a car. That's now a valuable item in my budgetary decision making. Does that then become a, what's it called, infrastructure that the town now has value that you could sell or it needs to be on a. You know what I mean?
There's a,
Like a building,
yeah,
for example.
there's an agreement between the towns that's being worked on about how this is all gonna
Okay.
work. It's.
Well, we
complicated.
will
It'll be
actually,
inventoried.
Yeah,
Yeah, it'll
inventory,
be
that's something,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's just like we have, the building is
Yeah.
inventory and
Yeah.
our trucks are inventory and.
so we will own it. And we'll own it by virtue of state funds, the grant. But we're just gonna put the money over in Dryden so that they can make these payments to vendors, to
Build it, right.
contractors.
And they're very busy, like, is this for Caroline, is this for Troy? I mean, they're being very, very cautious on this, and we're having meetings every week to talk about.
I mean, just curious,
So-
like the trucks, we were talking about at the last meeting,
No, this
we
is
can
good.
we can sell a tractor.
Yeah.
But if any reason in the future, we needed to sell a telephone pole, or I don't know what it is, the copper lines that are running on the telephone
We can
pole.
do that.
So, but that still
Except
has
it's
to
optic
be,
fiber at some point, yeah.
it's, at some point, it still needs to be
The budget-
accounted for.
The budget isn't an inventory.
Okay,
Right.
so the trucks that we're buying aren't inventory.
Yes,
All
they
the
are.
trucks,
All right.
all the trucks are inventoried,
But they're not in.
but they're not reflected in the budget.
Right.
So the value of the trucks that we have, for example, aren't.
Your capital, it's the capital
The capital is not
in the budget,
budget.
right,
That's right.
okay, so I'm just trying to,
Was that your
Yeah.
question?
yeah, essentially, it's the
Okay.
capital of the new infrastructure.
The only thing that's in the budget in that regard is expected
Procurement.
expenditures for
Mhm.
procurement. So for a new truck. So that has to be budgeted. In the budget.
But this is infrastructure that could break, so at some point someone has to be responsible for a breakage.
Well, we have that in the budget.
Okay,
That's in the
Yeah.
DA lines, so,
okay, well, that comes back around, makes sense.
Yeah.
okay.
So we
So,
get to the highway, I think it'll become clear.
I think let's see. Okay, yeah, that's the end of revenues, I guess.
The end of revenues.
The ag and farmland planning grant, so maybe, I don't know, do you wanna say something about that? So I talked to Monica today, so
Okay, where are we again in the budget? What,
at 241, A 3097.
okay,
Anyway, I asked her if we could spend that grant out before the end of the year. She thinks, yeah, she's gonna tell people the invoices and stuff.
good.
Cause I wanna just get done with it,
Yeah, yeah.
so. And, I won't steal your thunder about the ag plan. It's coming, and we'll set a public hearing pretty soon.
No, everyone else seems to be doing just fine. Reporting without me, so. Monica wants to write a long email about it to you, that's fine with me.
Okay,
I mean, that's essentially what I would have said, we have it now in document, that's fine.
okay, well.
It's
she-
whatever I would have said.
What she said today when I called her is, I said, well, can we have it? And she said, it's not ready yet. So apparently this Jen is formatting it or something, so, okay. It's coming, it's almost here, right? So. Oh, okay, so that's the A fund. Now here's the DA fund and,
Which is highway.
which is highway. Thank you, Tim.
DA stands for,
Oh, what does it stand
Department
for? I have no
We
idea.
don't know.
Department of Assets.
I don't
there you go,
know. I mean,
Department of Assets.
So SF fund, that's fire. That makes sense. Sort of. SL streetlight, A fund, just the first letter in the alphabet. DA fund, I don't know where those
It's-
letters come from.
it's the A fund, but has the D in it.
Yeah. But they're not at all the same. They don't know, yeah, so. So anyway, again, one thing maybe you know, so I did put the departmental requests here in the purple column. And the tentative budgets here in the green column, and you can see. So I put a 2% increase. I know why Bob's is a little off from mine.
So why isn't that a 3% increase? Based on the COLA,
What's that, Tim?
personnel services. Is that what you're looking at, Mark?
That's based on the highway, that's the guy's contract.
Oh, the contract, thanks, yes.
Yeah,
Oh, right, so they
Yes,
get the
thank you.
2%, yeah.
Yeah, that's the contract. So,
That's right.
Cause they're a union,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, they're union. So here's one thing, I made some notes in here. I haven't had a chance to talk to Bob about it. His request was to keep this line the same, the contractual DA 5010.4. I looked at 2023 expended, that was 145,382, and expended to date. I'm pretty sure maybe he spends more in the next 3 months, but anyway, it seemed, and Velvet and I talked about it and decided it made sense to adjust this. So we put it at 150 for the time being.
wait, the purple is what he's requested?
Yeah,
Okay.
those are the budget requests.
Okay,
And who's the contractual in that case?
0.4 is contractual.
But who is it?
This is for highway repairs.
Okay,
For
and
West-
so. They're requesting 189, but saying 150 because,
I was saying 150 because in 2023,
yeah,
how come it's doing that? Stop doing that. Actual expended in 2023 was 145,000.
uh-huh. And it's
What we've spent as of the end of August? 13,000.
Wow. But
So-
yet in
But that-
2024,
that
it's
is-
189.
That is because over the past 6 years, we have purchased innumerable new trucks.
right,
That's what that is accounted
So
for.
the,
This isn't, that's not this line.
I thought this was repairs.
No, this is
No.
contractual.
This is contractual under general repairs. So I think, oh, you're talking about repairs on equipment. I don't think that's
That's not it.
I don't think that's what that is.
Okay.
I think that. Is that correct, Jesse? Wouldn't it be under DA 5130.4?
No, the repairs that you're looking at would be equipment repair.
If we repaired a truck, it would be under equipment repair?
General repairs.
Oh, under general repairs. Okay, so Tim's right about that.
And so the
Okay.
big number on 2024 was lots of repairs. 189,000.
Say that again?
Well, you were talking about 2023, which is 145, but then it jumps to 189
That's,
in 2024.
that's the budget.
Okay,
That's this
the
year.
Budget.
That's not what we've spent. That's just what's in the budget.
Budget, I see. And then you're saying,
I'm saying,
Okay.
well, although Bob did say, they had that engine go and stuff, so there are gonna be some expenses, but. Anyway, I'll talk to him about it, see what he says.
Well, I know what he's gonna say.
You think?
that I need 189?
Yeah.
Well, here's a question. I mean, it seems like it fluctuates each year anyway, so giving them the larger amount does it really matter if he uses less than 189, and it's just gonna come out in the wash?
No, because it can potentially affect the tax cap. In other words, we
Okay.
don't
For the tax
budget
levy.
enormously higher than we anticipate sending.
But you were
because
saying you
tax
haven't
levy,
reached that yet, but you saying you don't wanna reach it,
you don't wanna reach it.
but we could go 189 if it's under enough. It could be the one line item that we decide to actually give the amount they asked for. It
But it
could,
might
it
not be
could.
necessary.
You know, I think for any particular line,
Yeah,
we don't really want, for any particular line, you just wanna say, ask yourself. What's the right number? You know, even if it. Even if you're close to the tax cap, but you wanna know what's the right number.
well, here's the
So if-
side of that is if he actually does end up having to spend 199,000, and we didn't ask for the tax cap, and it does take us over budget without the tax cap, that's more trouble to me than going under 189 and then
Well, he has a
Anyway.
reserve.
he has reserve,
Yeah.
and there's
yeah,
enough reserve.
Yeah, I'm gonna cover this.
Now you'll
so-
see.
Yeah,
These are good questions.
yeah, they are. So,
These are very reasonable, good questions.
yeah, absolutely. So,
Cause he will say 189.
well, I'll talk to him. So WQIP. This number is matched, here, I put it, it's matched by a revenue line 3089. This is state funding. For, that we got, that Bob worked with Angel and got. For South Road and Braley Hill, 2 culvert projects. This is the amount of the grant award, that's the maximum amount we can spend. So this
You're
number,
pointing, Mark, and we can't see what you're pointing at.
oh, I'm
So
sorry,
WQI.
so it's DA 5110.42, orange.
Right.
And that number is gonna be matched by a revenue line, DA 3089. So there's zero, it means if for the budget, it zeroes out, right?
Okay.
I just,
Okay.
just because it's a big number, I didn't want people to
Right.
freak out. Okay, improvements, the same goes for chips. So Bob recommended 375, that's what I used, so there's another line. Down. Where did it go? There it is, chips, there's the same number there.
What line are we on?
So now we're at DA 3501, line 334.
DA 3501?
What's that?
DA 3501?
DA 3501, revenue line, yeah. I'm just showing that they cancel each other out.
Okay.
Just can't find it.
It's way down.
It's way down, I went down into revenue, sorry, Tim, I'm skipping.
Okay. I see where you are.
Yeah. I-
All right,
I shouldn't have done
Okay.
that, that was confusing, so. Really, my numbers are, here, you can see these are all Bob's numbers for,
Okay, where are we again, Mark?
I'm looking at DA 5130.1,
Okay.
DA 5140.1. You can see department requests match the budget amounts. Snow removal. Same thing.
Okay,
I did, so here's another one, I reduced the snow removal contractual line by 10,000. I remember Bob said we're all stacked up with salt, that's where that comes from. And actual expended
Yeah,
in
we didn't
twenty
have
twenty-three
that.
was 146,000. Expenditures to date 95,000, so I thought it made sense to maybe shave it down to 180.
and which budget line is that?
5142.4.
okay.
And so this is another similar question to that last one. If we have stockpile of salt and we have a bad year with snow, we're okay with the stockpile of salt. Is your thinking there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, yeah,
so last year we
I thought
didn't
the
have.
salt had to be contracted anyway.
Yeah,
whether we use it or not. I thought that we were on
Oh,
some
yeah.
kind of
but
a,
he has to find a place to put it or
Contract, yeah.
something like that, so
so I don't know if we could do that or not. You
With the
know?
gas prices
I'll talk to him
coming,
about it.
Yeah.
the gas prices coming down, didn't we increase the budget last year because of increased gas prices? They've come down now.
Well,
Maybe I'm misremembering that.
Well, we'll get a change again next year, pretty easy.
But just check on the salt, because I seem to recall that.
So
I
it's somewhere,
I agree with you.
Contract.
so it's somewhere else stockpiled, not in Caroline.
No, he'll have to stockpile it. In other words, I think he does like a 2 to 3 year fixed locked in contract to get the prices locked in. I think that's how, something like that.
mhm,
And so even if he doesn't use all the salt, more salt will be coming. Is my understanding, from the locked in contract, something like that.
So you're saying we have it stockpiled physically in this town
somewhere.
from last year?
Yes.
Because we haven't used it all up, but the amount that's coming could be equal to what we had last year, but we don't have any room for that extra.
No, I'm not worried about the room.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just saying, Mark was proposing decreasing the budget by $10,000.
It's already been paid for.
Anticipating that we have all the salt. And I'm just saying, my recollection
That
is
might
it
not
doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So, we'll find out.
That we have to pay for the contract anyway.
Ah. But the different numbers, so how does that work out?
Yeah.
So how could it be, it should be
Yeah.
the same number,
Yeah,
if
it's
it's
right.
the same.
It's not a contract for $189,000 or for whatever, 190 or
Right.
whatever. Where is that number?
Anyway, whatever, I just thought I'd mention it.
Yep. Here, 180, 190.
That's what they're asking for, that's what it was adopted, that's what was spent.
So far,
Huh.
95,
That seems
oh,
like-
yeah, 63 so far.
It's weird, it seems it's a very specific number.
Like voodoo, gotta figure that one out.
So I'll talk to Bob about those numbers and see. Here are the benefits, so here you can see retirement for the DA employees is lower, the percent increase than it was for the A fund. Medical insurance is up significantly,
So the the DA employees are the
Unionized.
unionized ones, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
mhm.
Okay.
Yep. These are pretty straightforward. That's snow and ice contract with the county. Again, I increased this,
Budget line number, please.
I'm at 2401, DA 2401, so this is the NY class issue again. So I increased the budget significantly.
What is that for?
It's the interest payments we get on the savings in DA.
Oh, okay, that's again, why that $1,900.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
You like to see that in budgets,
Yeah,
a
it's-
1900% increase.
yeah, kind of a windfall, feels
It's like
like.
getting a grant.
Yeah. Okay, so let me go through, so here I calculate. So just to be, this white column here, G. What I do is for things that I know are not gonna change the end of the year, I just plug them in again. If it's like a recurring expense, then I multiply by a factor that adds 3 months. Does that make sense? So I multiply by a factor
That's why
that
it
accounts for
says
the next 3
125.
months.
Okay.
And so then at the end, I get totals for revenue and expenses. And so then I can estimate, this is an estimate for sure. So A fund for the general fund. My year-end expenditures are estimated to be this, 726,000. Year-end revenues, including taxes, 193. So the difference is, oh wait, no, I did it wrong, sorry. I knew that number didn't work, so. Year-end expense is 726, revenues 920, the difference is 193,000. If that holds, there'll be 193,000 left over. Are you with me, Tim?
Yes,
It's line 340.
yes.
And then the next line down, 341 is for the highway, so year-end expenditures, 910,000, revenues, 1.6 million. So if that's true, then the net is 750,000. So between the two funds, almost $1 million. That seems crazy. So we'll see. That's a lot of leftover. I should I'll have to go through the individual lines and see what I think is going on.
Almost seems like there's a number off or something.
Yeah, it seems like, so like, if we
One-
go
one-
to highway, if we go,
One decimal point.
well, or. So here for expenditures, we're interested in this one. Hmm.
I mean, this is true. Those are similar, but this is way off here. You're saying.
Yeah,
through-
well, this is just what we've expended
So far.
today, but yeah, you're sick for 3 more months, yeah. So I'm trying to look at these individual ones, see which ones are the biggest, the health insurance. Is curious, there's almost 100, well, 90, 80,000. That's a lot.
Yeah,
Looks like this is just gonna require another sit down to go through the numbers.
yeah,
Not gonna be able to do it tonight.
no.
Yeah,
My brain is starting to.
I get your
overlap
point.
with
Okay,
it.
good, so. If I go down, so let's see. Speedsville did deliver their budget request, so they're requesting the same amount as last year. So I put that in, this is for workers' comp that we purchased for them. And I haven't gotten any, or that was, yeah, so, and then,
Again, Mark, I have no idea where you are.
I'm sorry. 360, line 365, SF 3410.413 is a Speedsville contract, so we got that number, they're asking for 67,400, which is the same as last year.
Okay,
And this doesn't say that though.
this says it's
It's 18% more.
18% more.
Yeah. I know, I'm looking at this all of a sudden and realizing that I'm pretty sure this number is wrong. That one, 57,100 is wrong, I'm pretty sure. I didn't bring the 24 budget over, but I'll check on that.
You colored it blue for some reason.
This
right?
one,
This one. So some reason.
yeah, that was a holdover from last year. Yeah.
Oh,
I messed it up, I'm not gonna save it. Anyway, those are those numbers. Streetlights is pretty modest. 4,000. This is my fund balance table, so let me see if I can talk you through this.
What is this?
I'm
What is the
down.
number again, Mark?
410, line 410.
town fund balance.
Just trying to get there. Must have gone by it.
It's got more heavy lines.
Yeah,
Because
sure it is.
it's heavy.
I'm there.
Okay. So highway garage improvements, So that's the highway barn reserve fund. So as of the end of August, it had $365,000 in it. And then,
Has Bobby been drawing out of that for the improvements?
no, I don't think so.
How have the improvements how have the improvements been being paid for? What's it been coming out of?
So this line that I clicked on, which is the projected 2024 revenue, is the balance in A 1620.44 and A 1620.441, which was the budget line he created for that building they're modifying.
Right,
Right, so those are what basically adding those two gives you the balance of funds in A 1620.44.
okay,
And if we don't spend that by the end of the year, it goes into the reserve account, A 230. So this line is gonna add that to the $365,000 number.
Right.
And we budgeted 65,000 in that line for next year. So available funds for the highway barn next year will be our $435,000. That's what we'll have on hand for the highway barn next year.
But what was the quote for redoing it?
We don't have it yet.
Oh, okay.
We're still waiting for that.
Hmm.
We're gonna have to bond for that.
Yeah.
This isn't gonna
Yeah,
come.
that's what I thought.
So for town hall improvements, I did the same exact thing. So I'll stop doing that. So here, that's why I keep going over too far. My own fault. So we have $142,000 in this building's reserve funds. We have 30,000 in the expenditure line for this year. We've budgeted the same next year. So the next year, we're gonna have like $201,000. There it is on hand for the town hall improvements. Then a fund balance, if I look at unrestricted fund balance from the trial balance right now, it's for the A fund is 705,667. That's with the ARPA funds removed. For about, which is 338,000. So I took that out.
Mhm.
So that's unrestricted fund balance. This next one is that number that I just showed you. It's the projected by the end of year 2024 expenses, and then the 920, remember that? So those two, the difference between those is money that'll be left over at the end of the year to go into the general fund. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So so this line is going to be 705,667 minus 726,000 plus 920,000. And then just to anticipate things, I applied $75,000 from this fund to offset the levy. That's in the final budget thing I'll show you. So if I click there, like that, you can see I did that math. Does that make sense? Very quiet. Is this-
When you said levy.
The levy is the total amount, after we do all these calculations, that's how much taxes we have to generate. There's just one number. It's how much taxes we have to generate. So let me go there first, actually, because maybe then this will. I've already walked you through kind of what I did with this little table. The outcome is that, A fund is at 80%. Unrestricted fund balance is at 80% of budgeted expenditure The highway is at 31%. Combined, we're at 47%, which is very healthy fund balance. We're, our aim, when we passed the fund balance resolution was for 20%. So, but this is a good place to be when you're getting ready to build a highway barn and other things. So now this is this is the table. This is the action table. So here's a fund. Here are the appropriations, the expenses that we calculated. Right here, I keep doing that. Here's the expenses I calculated. Here are the revenues that we calculated. And then this is unreserved funds that I have put in here to offset the levy. So basically, they are additional revenues. And the reason I did that, so you know what I'm gonna do? Maybe what I should do is 375, so I'll just write that down so I don't forget.
When you say
I think
additional
this would be better if I
revenues,
take these out.
why are there additional revenues
So, okay.
other than taxes?
I'll show, that's why I took those out, so I can show you, so. Cause that, doing it this way, okay, so here's appropriations, here's revenues for both A fund and DA fund. And the difference is how much we have to raise in taxes, that's right here. Right, so the difference between here, how much we spend here and how much we bring in here is this, same for highway. The total is $2.2 billion that we have to somehow have to generate. So TAV is the total assessed value from the assessment department. That's just what we're going to divide this money into. And that's how you determine the tax rate, but I don't want to worry about that right now. And let's just worry about A fund and DA fund right now. So these are the two town special districts, Caroline Fire and Leidy. So those will be added in. So what you do then is, so with each of these calculations, you come up with how much tax you have to raise. So for lighting, we need $4,000. For the fire department, $94,715. For the highway department, 1.3 million, and for general fund, 0.88 million. Add those all up, and you get the 2025 levy. Right there, $2.3 million. Now, the reason I took those other numbers out is so I could show you what happens if we just do that. So here's the 2024 levy, it was 1.9. So the difference is about $400,000, which is 21%, 22% change. Now I'm going to skip down to the bottom here. I have looked the tax cap limit for this year, which you go to the OSC they have a little calculation page and so anyway, that's it, $1.972651 million. So 2.325 is way over that. It's 17.86% over the tax cap. And the amount of money is $352,389 that is over the tax cap. So that's why, then the next question we ask is, do we have enough reserves to offset that to any degree, either partially or totally, and not compromise our reserves? So that's why I did this box here to try to figure that out. And it looks like we do, and that's also why this calculation, where did it go? Here. At this point, I'm estimating $947,000 excess.
Hmm.
For this year, that's just for this year. So
You know, that we didn't spend.
that we didn't spend.
Hmm.
So it makes perfect sense, you know, to return some of that to the taxpayers, right?
It just seems like an awfully high number.
It seems
Yeah.
like an awfully high, and I think this is gonna go down as the year goes on, so I think there are some assumptions
3
that
months.
I
left.
might not have gotten right, but. And we'll know, you know, by the time we adopt the budget, we'll be into the second to the last month of the year. So I'll try to give you confidence that we're not, you know, putting a noose around our neck. But anyway, this number is what at this point gives me confidence that I can go in here to this table and say, okay, I want to, spend $75,000 of our unrestricted funds here. And 300 here.
75,000 or 7,000?
75,000.
75,000.
Let's see where that comes
I
out.
see.
I have to trust my little table. It puts us 22,611 under the cap. So we certainly. It's 1.15% below the tax cap. We
That's a
could, if we feel like it's,
Tight margin there,
yeah, but it's under the cap.
but we still have a couple months left.
We have almost 3 months left. Yeah, is that what you mean?
I guess what I'm saying is if it turns out that there's a lot of spending happening,
That we got wrong?
Well, we have ample funds in our reserves to cover this.
Yeah.
So we have, what did you figure, 40% reserves in contrast to 20? So we have a lot of wiggle room in the reserves.
contrast, what's the 20, contrast, what's the,
20 is the
That's the target.
target for reserves against budget that is understood to be prudent financial,
for municipalities?
caution.
That's, the
And that was our
comptroller's
own-
office will never tell you what the number should be. We have total control over
We
that.
set that number.
But yeah, but they do say, you know, 20% is reasonable. They don't want to have way too much. You know, spent tax monies. But for small municipalities, it makes sense to have fairly robust reserves, so.
Which then allows you to do what we're doing right now.
Mhm.
To not have to go over the tax cap.
Right.
Yep.
All right, so.
It allows you to take on substantial projects or unforeseen crises in the near future,
Yeah,
which is why you have a robust reserve.
yeah.
Like a new barn.
Or let's say a major culvert washes out, they can handle that. Or, you know, a
Not,
wildlife crossing or something like
Or
that,
a new septic system.
yeah.
I'm not looking forward to an Asheville situation.
Yeah,
No,
or,
That's a whole different scale.
Well, everyone's gonna get 26 inches of rain at some day.
yes,
So
that's right.
it's another conversation.
Yeah,
But
So let's see, so we should move, it's 8:51, we should move right along, is
I
the,
really need to get out of here as close to 9 as possible tonight.
yeah. I
that
can-
was a good first review for me.
Okay,
good.
did that make sense
First
at
review.
all?
Yeah,
Okay,
90% of it.
yeah, so just ask questions, or, yeah, yeah. So, really, the whole thing is, we're just setting expenses and revenues, and the difference is, that's what we have to ask the taxpayers to pay. And, we want to keep a reasonable but not absurd amount of reserve funds on hand. So yeah, so should we move on? That's the budget presentation.
Mhm. You want to set a budget workshop?
That's a great idea. That's on the sheet, isn't it? Yeah. So I think we should have a budget
little
work.
cakes and cookies that we get to eat while we look at the numbers.
We've had donuts before.
I think last year we had our first budget workshop at the business meeting in October. So I think we should have one then. And
Okay.
maybe that should be the main part of the meeting. I can't remember what else we have lined up. Oh, the ag, something, probably will have something to do with the ag plan, at least introduce it or set the
I think we
public
met
hearing.
early last. We met early at 6 or something to give extra time or? so,
No, I don't
Okay,
think so.
I can't do that this year.
okay.
Teach right up close.
Yeah, I don't think we had an especially long meeting. I think it was just mainly that was the meeting.
Okay,
And so I would suggest that, I'll see if Bobby can do that one. I think that would be good. That's a major part of the budget.
We're going to invite the justices to one, the judges.
What about them?
We're going to invite them to one.
I suppose so, yeah. So, yeah, so,
Is that the case where they're like in the audience? And
it
they,
can be. Yeah, they can come remotely, or last year Gary came in person.
I'd like
Was
to
that-
do that during a regularly scheduled meeting if possible.
Yeah, it'd be nice.
yeah, I think, Josh Reinhold came it wasn't a regularly scheduled meeting, wasn't it? It was,
Last time it came was during a regular
it
scheduled
was,
meeting.
okay.
Yeah,
Alright,
I think he was sitting right there.
Yep,
okay.
no, it came on Zoom, remember?
I thought Judge Barr was there as well, no?
Not last
There was
year.
only one of them,
Sure. No.
yeah, last year at least. So,
Oh, wait, remember that. Okay, so it's at the business meeting. 2 weeks from tonight,
mhm.
all right,
and you had some other brief things that we were gonna do, maybe do that next.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll be able to, I'll just mention briefly, so Ida suggested, a carpet shampooer, and she would be willing to,
Don't need to discuss that.
it's okay, right? Yeah. Okay,
That's.
this will
that's town-
replace the
that's
carpet,
town hall.
this will replace the carpet service that we currently, contract for, so I think it's a good move.
Yeah,
okay, as long as it, lasts.
So, but I just thought it'd be good to run it by you before we did.
Wait, where's the carpet you're talking about?
There are, whatever you call them, throw rugs, a number of throw rugs. Mostly in the new town hall, but a couple here. And then this entire room here at the meeting hall is carpeted.
Okay.
And the code office is carpeted, my office is carpeted, and the library is carpeted. So,
does she have time to do that?
she suggested it, and I think it'd be great to
Yeah.
give her the work, so.
Wait, and who is this that's gonna do it?
Ida Biesemer, our cleaner,
Okay,
do you have concerns,
no,
Michelle?
I was just curious. I didn't know who the cleaner was.
Yeah. Okay. So for the next meeting, did people have comments on the minutes of September 18th?
They're good.
Good. Thank you,
Those are hereby approved.
yay.
And then for agenda items, next meeting, I think we can. I'll make a couple tweaks, Michelle, or try to answer a few questions, but then I think we should share it with the board and we could talk about it at the next meeting. Would that be good?
The disaster plan?
Yeah,
Yeah, there was some, I had some questions in there that I highlighted with yellow, so,
yep, I got to that late today,
Okay.
so,
all right.
okay, sounds good.
And there's like more information, there's just like information pages that you would put in, like what to do in certain cases, that I just didn't copy and put them in yet, but nothing needs to be filled out. It's just information.
Okay. That's gonna be added later, you're saying?
Yeah, and once you once you answer my questions, basically, I could put the whole thing together pretty much
Okay.
as it'll be.
Okay. I'll answer what I can, so. Sounds good. Um. So do we wanna,
Next week, we should probably just have a brief introductory discussion about the bond, just so everybody knows what's
I think
coming.
that's a good idea.
Well-
I'd like to know where we are on it.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm
Broadband bond?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and then maybe we can just have a conversation
Yeah.
about the committee stuff.
do that next week?
Yeah.
Or in 2 weeks?
Yeah,
That sounds good to me.
And I'm not urgent about it, but I know there were some website things that we were gonna change.
Yeah, it'd be good. Okay, that sounds good. And then, yeah. So one thing that's,
Last night, by the way, just in relationship to this, at the review board. There was some discussion of wanting different categories on the website. And they went to, now it's really late. Who does a website? Who does a website?
Mike,
Mike.
Michael, okay,
They
yeah.
went to Mike and he said,
Can't do
you
that.
can't do that.
Oh, you did?
So I think we're gonna probably have to sit down with them and then figure out why that's not possible. I think they might have just miscommunicated what they want. And if not, we'll have to go back to that, I guess, and
figure it out.
I think that's what originated the discussion with Yvette a few
Oh,
emails
right.
back and Mike. So, and I agreed that it would make sense to somehow have projects bins or, so that the project's not all scattered out between different meetings of the review board and nobody can figure
Right,
out what's
right.
what.
right,
So
that's
somehow
what they're talking about.
we need bins. However it's done, it could be
Right.
spatially or, folder or something,
Yeah.
but there's gotta be a way to do
There
that.
has to be an easy way to
So-
do a folder.
well, FTP used to be a thing. We not do FTP anymore? Essentially, it was file structure that was web-based.
This is a question for Yvette
Yeah.
and Mike,
Yeah,
so,
We don't know how it's made.
Right, magic.
It's magic.
yeah,
no, we've been delivering information to the public via PDF for fixed documents. For things in process, that's the question. That's what I don't,
I've done plenty of websites. It seems like a simple fix.
it has to be, me too. It's-
Yeah.
I agree, I
But
agree.
I think that Mike just didn't understand what was being asked of him. And I don't think that the review board understands yet what it wants.
Oh,
Okay.
maybe another review board's website. I'm sure there's other websites that have review boards that have document access. You just go to that
Well, we
one.
have a really robust website, so they don't need their own website.
No, I'm saying you could go to
Models.
other
Yeah,
towns
ideas.
and see what they do
Right,
and just
right.
copy their
Right,
system.
right, right.
You
I
bet.
always like to don't reinvent the wheel,
Right.
you know?
Yvette has
I
very.
mean, we just redesigned the entire website, so we
Yeah.
want to stick with
And
that.
I think Yvette is the resource for this.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to mention, so does that cover that? Is that, okay? And then the other thing I wanted to mention was, so I spoke briefly with Michelle and she mentioned that she and you, Jonathan, had a discussion about court safety with the court. So one thing that is extremely overdue is getting a monitor mounted in here. We had Ace. So I really think we need to get that done.
Monitor.
So it's just a monitor so that they can access the cameras for the town hall grounds. So they can see.
Oh, cause they don't,
Oh.
someone else can see it somewhere else, but they can't see
Yes.
the cameras.
Oh, I see,
Right,
that makes
right.
sense.
So we have made this very clear in emails in the past, and nothing has been, they haven't taken us up on that, so I think it's just a town. It's just a thing that needs to happen for safety, and that's what they requested, and
So we're just gonna go in and install it in her office.
well, I think we have to make an overture and say,
Yeah.
this,
Let's do this.
this needs to happen, so.
You,
Well,
I mean,
fine.
you could say that you want to, you could basically make an appointment, say, we're gonna install this, what's a good day?
Yeah. That sounds good, Michelle. What day is good for you?
Mhm.
That's a joke.
Uh,
And that's a different conversation than the buzzer.
Then the
Yeah.
budget,
Buzzer,
then the buzzer,
Buzzer.
yeah.
it is.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
so if
It
this
is.
were, it seems to me if this were installed, we wouldn't need the buzzer.
I kind of
Correct.
agree. But
mean-
it,
I'm confused about the buzzer. Cause is the door supposed to be locked when they're in session, when they're there or not? Or are people supposed to be able to come in?
depends on who you talk to.
Okay, I mean. So the buzzer would lock the door, right?
I believe that's the intent.
So it's essentially what the school has.
I
Right?
suppose so, yeah.
You see there's a camera up there, you see someone, you buzz them in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Is it complicated at school?
I mean, they made systems to make sure that it's used appropriately, but.
Like if you go to see Jesse or something,
Yeah, when he was there,
then,
I wait outside until someone lets me in.
Yeah,
and they recognize you.
yeah, or your ID lets you in.
Yeah, I do, yes, that would be another thing, is that you, there's two levels, the people that come in and out all the time, you have a key, and then people that. Are just random, you.
I mean,
the buzzer
are
in.
we really in a situation that we need that? I mean, we don't have that.
Well, that's the thing. You need it when you need it, and then it's too late, right? So.
I mean,
That's
we
the-
have, so if we have the video system. Where who would be coming in can be seen. If there's an anxiety about that. The door could be closed, there's an emergency panic button. It can be punched,
And law.
Is there an emergency?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, and the sheriff comes, or the trooper gets here.
right.
Is there one behind in her office too?
I don't think so. Oh, well, I could be wrong. I actually don't know. I have.
Because we could put one in her.
Mhm.
Oh, cause that's the thing is like, when we took well, you weren't there, when we took the tour with them the other day. Bar was suggesting that window in there is unsafe. Cause it's glass
Window where?
in that, through that door right there.
Office.
Never been allowed to be in that
Okay.
room, so I don't know what's there.
So, but this is interesting, when I asked questions, I was like, okay, so bars, you want bars in the windows? These are things that won't help.
Yeah.
And so a buzzer door, if someone wants to come in, they'll just come over here and break a window and come in. It's not gonna keep someone from, if they really wanna come in
Mhm.
and you don't want them
Yeah,
to come in, they're gonna come in.
Yeah,
But if there's a button for the sheriff, that's a whole
There
nother
is.
safety
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's.
I mean,
Go ahead.
I got the impression, I thought, but I could have misunderstood that she was saying that somebody could shoot her through the window.
Right, but I was thinking of, there's multiple layers of safety and with bars, bullet doesn't stop.
Right.
It's hard for me. I spent a bit of time in Southern Africa where people live with razor wire around their house, and, I mean, how. I don't think we live in a society that violent.
Oh, that's why they put a buzzer on the school door.
Well, there's other issues with schools in that people go in and kidnap children and,
Yeah,
I mean, when I go pick up my grandson, I have to show an ID every time I go there.
right. I mean, but it's ironic that a sheriff just shot a judge. recently.
Well,
So even with the sheriff, I mean, you can't be
definitely.
safe.
You can't be safe from, I think it's more dangerous to be a school child in this country right now than it is to be anything else, to be honest, but,
Yeah.
how many school
Crazy,
kids?
crazy things happen for sure, but I mean,
Well, it's the number one cause of death
Okay.
for young people.
yeah.
Right,
It's gun
so-
violence.
So I don't think that, and the other thing is like in the town hall, say where Mark works, and he's there, anybody can just walk in there. No, nothing can stop. When it's office hours, that door,
Yeah,
no, when it's office hours, that door's unlocked. Anybody can walk in.
great. So I didn't mean to generate a huge discussion. So I do want to respect Tim's request for,
Oh, yeah, sorry.
for
O'clock.
I have an early departure.
Yeah, and it isn't, it's 9:08, but I do think that we all are in concurrence that
Have to go back.
we need to get a monitored in here, or the other thing she could do is. I believe, Jesse can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think she'd want to do this, but. I think you can post the video on your own computer if you want to, so.
Oh, that's interesting.
At any rate, I guess.
But we have the monitor, it's sitting over there in the closet.
Yeah.
It needs to be brought over and hooked up.
Yeah, and looking into the buzzer too. On top of this.
The
And looking
buzzer,
into-
Not the buzzer, the sheriff.
sheriff. The sheriff's buzzer, yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yep,
That seems sufficient to me, and see how things go from there.
Yeah,
But I think
Okay.
rather than offering it, I think we should just say we're gonna install it on this day.
okay. And ask them where they would like it.
Yes.
That's good. Yeah,
but not in here,
Great,
yeah,
right?
absolutely,
Not in here,
yeah.
right,
in their office.
right. Okay, super, thanks, guys. I think I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Seconded by Kate, and all in favor? Aye. Great, all right, thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
where are you going?
New York, but I have to leave
Early.
early and I haven't done
You're
it.
flying?